We now invite the speakers for this blog to come to the stage. We're going to have the panel that is going to be moderated by Mr. Jared Allen, that is a main specialist in climate change from the IV. This panel is going to focus on the practical uh, lessons learned from MRV in work in each country, lessons learned, and the opportunities for collaboration and next steps to expand regional alignment.
Hi everyone, it's the last session and I know we are tired. So, can we just stand up a minute, stretch, and we know we have not been walking and you will be walking tomorrow. So take a little stretch. We are on the final stage. Just stretch. Let's get some oxygen moving. We have heard some really interesting presentations. So, really? So, just look around, say hello to someone, and then we will sit down. Yeah, hello? Right. Okay.
Hello.
All right, we can sit down now. I remember when we were in primary school, escuela primaria, you had to stretch and do all manner of things. And we lost that, which is not a good thing. We need to do it as adults. Anyway, we have a really good panel here. And we have heard of very interesting projects throughout the region that we have had under the... Hello? Yeah.
Sorry.
Throughout the region, and there have been some common themes. There have been issues about collaboration and sharing of knowledge, and Suriname spoke about that. Innovative science or innovation, outreach and education, really strong, and you guys in Panama really focused quite on that. Collaboration, the collaboration in Global Mangrove Alliance, that is really important, and synergies, and also issues related to technical capacity, and both strong in some cases and weak in other cases. We have now the MRV, the regional MRV, new kid on the block, new things. To you. And then we have this community of practice. And this was mentioned previously. Easy question. What are the advantages of having this community of practice within the context of advancing our knowledge of monitoring, reporting, verification? Anyone? Quickly. And I wanted to, and Paula, you mentioned little mensajes in su bolso. So pocket messages. What's the pocket message? Thank you. Who wants to start?
Advantages. I would say it's already starting to look very good, because here we are sitting next to each other talking a lot about the work we have done, and we're already talking about sharing knowledges. So that is one of the big advantage for Suriname. So maybe you can...
So that's your pocket message.
Yeah, just collaboration, because sometimes we don't even have an idea of a way to do something, and then you see an experience from a place or somebody who did it differently, and say, well, we have different options. So as long as it's something that brings flexibility and opens up possibilities to fill gaps in the country, I think it's wonderful. And just at the sense of community, I think there's always a good vibe in our community, and we all want to share, we all want to learn. So if we maintain that, I think the sky's the limit.
Anyone else?
Yes. Okay. I think one of the issues is also to strengthen the local capacities, because we have different knowledge in different countries and in different level of the processes, and one of the advantages work together in order to strengthen these capacities, and also to disseminate the information. We need to disseminate our results, not alone, but in the community. I think is the biggest part of the community in practice, and also we have very young people involved on it, and I think it's also one of the advantage in the MRV.
Well, thank you for pointing out that I am a young person. I will take that.
You are the lead, but you are still young.
I'm still young.
Yes.
So just to echo the sentiments of Paula and my director, that we are stronger together, and yes, that we can share innovations, and what someone has done, we don't need to repeat those mistakes, or, you know, we can grow from others' experiences, and just the knowledge sharing as well. I think we have accelerated the knowledge sharing through both the physical and the virtual meetings, and they have been quite fruitful thus far.
No, and I want to pick up on that because we had a community of practice meeting, and I was really impressed by the level of engagement and that sharing of information. And I want to know, are there creative ways of ensuring, it's something that came out, sharing of information, translating all this technical information into useful, practical, effective knowledge. What are those things that within this community of practice, within this MRV, are there creative ways, or are there ways that we are thinking, well, maybe we should do this? And I want to come to you, Julio, mainly because, no, you had the lovely bird with the children. Do you see any creative ways of translating all this wonderful technical knowledge? Listen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of information out there. When you look at this room and you hear about what you said, there's enormous amount of information, but it's not getting to the right people, or it's somehow being filtered in a way that is blocking. The filter has too many fine holes. We need bigger holes in the filter. Anything that you can provide there?
Okay, one thing I was thinking, that it's about the positioning of the mangroves within, the broader community. Yeah, not everybody lives in the coast, but one thing that I missed mentioning in my presentation was that one next step, one pending issue, for example, is to connect it to landscape management and agricultural activities and everything upstream. That's super important. And then, those of us that have worked a little bit in watershed management see the importance of when you take somebody from the higher basin to a lower basin, see, oh, this is where, the stuff I do up there impacts. It just changes the mindset. And then on the other side, right now there's a boom, let's say, of support for ocean conservation. But it's just ocean conservation, can have ocean conservation without the coastal conservation. So I like to think of, having that message of mangroves as a great connector of, well, I don't know, of all landscapes and all of humanity, let's say. Everything goes through the mangrove. What happens in land and what happens in the ocean. So I think it's something we can maybe exploit a little bit more.
I like that everything goes through the mangroves. If you don't remember anything else, go back with that. Everything goes through the mangroves.
That's going to be copyrighted. And
yeah, okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so to add to that, with connectivity of projects and to ensure sustainability, I think having data sharing platforms, so outside of these meetings, people can meet, because when we have these meetings, not everyone is available to attend, but just to continue the discourse, not just now, but long after the project, I think is important, and I look forward to seeing these data sharing platforms grow and evolve.
And when you say, because you just opened the door for me, data sharing platforms, is it only the technical data? What are the other data doors that you, or platforms?
Yeah, so we've seen like the Dr. Morissette with the soil carbon atlas sharing of the soil carbon data, but we can extend that to seeing how many women were impacted and how many species, say something was on the verge of extinction and if it's growing now, or even breaking down the technical jargon in a way to laymen. So, okay, we collected this data, but what does it mean? Yeah. And just at a glance, and as Diana was saying earlier, for financiers to just look at that, at a snapshot and understand the risks involved and just make it understandable to the layman.
It's like the pocket messages that I like that, by the way. I'll take that, the pocket messages.
Yes, in this sense, I think we need to share the information in different formats that Julio and Farah said, and also we promote the things in local language because we need to interact with the people in the local areas. And we have some examples at INVEMAR. We're working with the legacy of mangroves, is the El Legado del Manglar. Okay. We work with the old people into the communities, with the young or child in the same community, but also we exchange the experiences between the communities located in the Caribbean coast or in the islands with the Pacific coast. That is very different for Colombia because in the Caribbean you have small tides, and in the Pacific is 3 or 4 meters, and it's really different. On the other hand, we also have experiences related to the interactive museums, and also the not only interactive but also mobile museum. We work together with the Guajira Peninsula communities, the indigenous people there, and it's really nice when you try to put the information that you have in the scientific knowledge into the local or traditional knowledge, and sometimes it's really different, and we don't understand each other, and it's really nice if we can try to put our data and our experiences in this type of activities in the field or in our project areas in each of the countries.
Yeah, and that brings me to something that you said, Valentien, about, okay, you're the Dutch, and yeah, you're only a few, but there must be a lot of information that I, as an English speaker, or Paula, as a Spanish speaker, can't get access to because it's in Dutch. And do you see where this community or platform, a practice, sorry, can help in that? Because we have to share information, but often, when you do a Google search, it's like, you don't get mangrove in your search. I get manglares, I get mangroves, but I don't get the Dutch. How do you see there's advantage of being able to translate some of this information into the languages of the Caribbean?
Yes. There is already some information in Dutch. All the reports are in English, sorry. All the reports are in English, the technical reports are in English. We have shared this information in our copy platform. So we try to use the universal language as much as possible. We do our best because, of course, we need to collaborate with the world, right? So you will see that most of the reports are in English already, yes. Maybe some national documents may be in Dutch, but we can translate that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that especially when you're dealing with some of the policy documents, not available, but if through the community of practice you can say, hey guys, this will be relevant to the work that we are doing, and bring it out and having a session or sessions or a place where you can say, this has been done. You may not have missed it, but this is a policy document that relates to mangroves in the region, and you know, bring it using the community of practice as a way to highlight some of these policy governance issues. But Paula.
Yes, I want to add, also we need to be creative into the community of practices, and maybe we need to follow a little bit more as an infographic issues in our language, more in figures and more in pictures and more in that kind of issues, because in the region we not also we don't only have the Dutch, Spanish, English. We also have the French in the region, and the local languages, the indigenous people language, and also the Creole and other different type of conversation. And also we need to be inclusive, because we have deaf people. Also we have people that need other kind of materials. It's our challenge. We need to be very creative in that sense.
And I think it means greater use of technology, because I always wondered, you know, being able to take someone, every time you say to someone, I'm going to the mangroves, they're like, oh my gosh, it's muddy, it's smelly, there are mosquitoes, but it's beautiful. And being able to give them that experience without them having to go into experience, into the physical world, if they can't, for whatever reason. And I think, again, another area, greater use of that visual, sensual, I don't know if that's the correct word, but you know, you get it. Tactic. Tactic. Yeah. Use of technology to bring out all the benefits, all the assets of this space that some people will not normally go into. As you said, there are communities close by, and yes, but if I'm up in the hills, I'm in the desert, I'm like, mangrove? I don't understand that. And so we need to also bridge that gap between urban communities, rural communities, communities that are not close to this critically important system that has bearing on their lives. And because you have to expand that space, so that the person in the mountains are like, everything flows through the mangrove. So what I am doing in the mountains is going to flow through that mangrove. And I want to make sure that whatever is flowing is good, not my bad behavior or something that I'm doing that I didn't think would have affected downstream these mangroves.
You should patent the expand the space. I wrote that down. Use it.
Well, that's two. I want to give an opportunity for you to ask questions to this wonderful panel that we have assembled. So please, give me your questions. If not, I will call on someone to see if you are paying attention. But I'm sure somebody may have a burning question about the community of practice. Could I be part of that community of practice? What is happening with the community of practice?
Did you say birding question or burning?
Burning.
Okay, good.
Yes. Please, audience. All right, we have one.
We have an online question.
Sure, great, excellent.
This is for Julio. What were the variation in species composition and characteristics for mangroves towards the Pacific Ocean and those towards the Caribbean Sea?
Okay. Yeah, very good question. As Paula also referred to, there's big difference between Caribbean and Pacific, and I should point out that in Panama, 90% of the mangroves are in the Pacific. So the science team made an effort in some cases to try to start some comparative studies between Pacific and Caribbean. But I mean, from a cost opportunity perspective, you can just focus on the Pacific, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there's some benefit to comparing the different environments and how that might affect the approach of implementing some sort of technical work. I mean, the carbon work won't vary, but there might be issues related to other types of evaluations that might be coast-specific. But yes, we were aware of that, but our focus sites were on the Pacific, and yeah, in the particular case of Panama, the Pacific is more important for sure.
Yes.
Hi, thank you, and for allowing me to ask this question. What was the criteria for selecting these 4 beneficiary countries out of the Latin American region?
That's a very good question. I think when we and I'll take that. Yes, so please. Don't worry. Yeah. I'll take that. When we looked at it, we were looking at countries that had, well, first of all, because of the funding, it was specific to ODA countries, but also to look at countries that had programs that fit into the Blue Carbon Fund criteria. So that they already had a concept regarding a restoration of a project, so of a mangrove. And so we looked through the space. And also you wanted to give a good geographical context. So you have mangroves in Panama, which will be different from mangroves in Jamaica, that island nation context. And then looking at the Caribbean coast of Colombia would be different from the Pacific coast of Panama. And then in Suriname, you have massive riverine systems, in very highly dynamic coastlines, as opposed to, again, when you look at Jamaica, that's a different mangrove setting, because the level of sedimentation, which is really critical for mangrove formation, is different. And in terms of productivity, when you look at the range in terms of carbon sequestration, will be different. Highly productive, some of your most highly productive systems in the Guyanas, from the Guyanas, as opposed to not so productive, but still productive in your island countries. So that's the sort of thinking behind it.
Hola, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Impressive, everything you do in every different country. The question is, well, for everyone in a panel, there are some communities that don't have access, for example, to internet or a cell phone signal. For example, the communities in the region of La Guajira here in Colombia, most of them don't even have a cell phone signal, and these communities speak a very different language, and there are these sort of cases in many other countries. So my question is, what's the strategy with these communities that are so far away from globalization, urban areas, internet, AI, but when they don't even have a cell phone signal? Thank you.
Voy a mencionar, digamos, no era tanto el caso.
I'll mention something there. It was not the case for Panama, but based on my general experience, the fact is to get to that previous knowledge. The communities have the first lessons I learned is that when you go to a community, the first time you go there, you introduce yourself and just shut up. Just listen. What what do you need? What do you do? And then based on that, then you contribute with what you can from your technical knowledge or whatever. But back to the other part of your question, I think you refer to what Paula referred to about being creative, using different means, how people communicate. What about the social fabric, how they work, how community, do they listen to radio, for example? Do they have a cell phone? Do they use a cell phone? All those means must be explored, but you must find out beforehand so that your intervention is adequate. And not only it's about going there, but empowering community, because they're the center of the intervention. It is not just you coming with the height of the expert and these preconceived ideas. I want to add the example we have in Colombia with this social ownership of the knowledge. And I spoke to you about this traveling museum. In the case of La Guajira, we are doing some teaching in their own language, the Wayunaiki language. So they're teaching information about the oceans, about the mangrove, about coral reef, about seagrass. And there we have found that the teachers, because the guidance, the teachers, teachers are happy with incorporating this information in their curricula, recovering the Wayunaiki language, because the language is being lost. In the kids, it's just their own language. So as I said, we must be very creative. Again, as Julio said, that is the case of La Guajira. They use the National Police radio station, and that's how we get to them. So in many of the examples with the regional environmental authority, we transmit the messages through radio. And with the kids, we use the professors and teachers at the schools.
Yeah, I just want to add that for Suriname, it's similar. We are teaching those kids about the mangrove. We also have a mangrove museum. Of course, it's in the coast, as you mentioned. Yes, but saying that, I think that we must extend our collaboration with other institutions like Amazonic conservation teams who go to the communities, because it also costs a lot to go to the communities because it's not reachable by car. You have to take a plane to go to the communities. So for Suriname, I think we have to extend our collaboration to reach the communities, yes.
Yeah, I think that point about involving communities outside of the direct environment of the mangrove is critical. It's a whole approach, a holistic approach, not just in terms of our knowledge of mangroves, but our dissemination about mangroves. That's not just the coastal or marine communities, but those in the interior, those beyond. And also, even in terms of who do we engage with. So as you said, Christian, the indigenous communities, even the financial communities, the engineering communities. So let's redefine community in this case. Let's make sure when we say community, it's not just simply what we think traditionally, but there is, make community this broad base that the engineers are part of the community.
Yeah. Mark told about it in his presentation this morning. Yeah.
Okay.
And Steve,
yes, Steve, please.
Steve also has some.
No, but I think.
The mic is not working. Yep.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add a little bit for the project in Suriname. Aside from what they mentioned, you're looking at the medium with which these different stakeholders communicate. For instance, with us, nobody reads their mails. Everybody reads WhatsApp. So, you know, using these kinds of mediums to communicate, or at least to gather them together, translating materials that we have in their language and speaking in their language. And next to that, what we've seen that also really helps is using someone in the community who is very passionate about mangroves to gather all of the people together, and also giving them the opportunity to, you know, talk to them and share their experiences and how important they think that mangroves is as an introduction before we come with what we have to say, that also helps. So, yeah.
I think we could take one last question.
Yeah, my thought is along very much the same lines as the last few comments, in that, you know, it's so much is about communication, you know, between different groups, near and far. And you know, I've been to the Mangrove Museum in Suriname, you know, and it's fantastic. And I think one of the lessons I've always picked up from America, as a British point of view, is how good the communication is in America. There's always somebody there to explain why this is fantastic. And it's been very successful in raising awareness. You have to go to communities on their terms, I think. Sometimes it's in meetings, you sit down and explain. Sometimes it's notes of some sort. In Guyana, there's a company, Real Guyana, real as in movie reel, that make the most fantastic documentaries where they interview people about various issues, be it coastal erosion or impacts of mining. And you know, now it's so much easier to make these little social documentaries on your own phone. And so the ability to communicate to people far away, I think, is so much easier now, at least for people who are smarter than these things than I am. So just saying, I guess my question would be, what role do you see these kind of social media opportunities as part of the community practice?
Definitely at the beginning of the project, you want to properly understand the communication matrix to see if your channels are inclusive across gender, across socioeconomic you know, considerations are made. And that can also undergo iterative improvements as you, again, as you said, as you interact with communities, you see it wasn't as you envisaged. You may have to change your strategy a bit. For example, there was a project, they had to get a message out to fisher folk, and yeah, they don't read their mail, so they had to get one of those cards with the speaker phones just to get it, to repeat it, and you know, tracking before and after to see the effectiveness of these strategies and seeing if your reach is really getting out there.
Yes, and yes, sure. We need the social media, and not only the social media, and also the artificial intelligence on using in it. We need to construct like an storytelling issues and involve not only the technical information, but also the experiences from the community, the benefits to the different communities, like you say before, and also some games like trivia, like something, these issues that promote the interaction between different people using different kind of social media, and as much as possible image, pictures and everything, because if you know, the Instagram is a lot of pictures. If you use the X or Twitter, it's a short message in small processes or sentences, and yeah, that definitely we need to use the social media and to create histories there. Maybe we can follow like TikTokers.
Yeah, that's why we need younger people. We have come to the end of it, but I want just to give everyone an opportunity. One, to say one last thing, one last thought, quick pocket message, very brief if you want, and anyone could start.
Yes.
Valentien. All right, great.
Yes.
Excellent.
Let us use the power of visuals, because as we know, visuals, the data is obtained much faster than with text, so let's use the power of visuals.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's keep in mind that concept of broader community, because it involves all types of actors, sectors, and that's what feeds in to the work that we need to do.
Paula?
Scientific knowledge versus traditional knowledge is one of the issues. The ocean starts at home. We need to put all these things in our families. And please join with the community in practice.
Okay. Let's always keep in mind sustainability and connectivity to really keep passing on the baton and exponentially growing our efforts.
Thank you very much. Panel, you have been I will say the best panel out. Please, let's give the panel an applause. Really appreciate your effort. Thank you very much.